Hallo Leute, ich bin Leszek, ich komme aus Polen und ihr seht Deutsch für euch.
Hey! Today is another Grundkurs, which means back to basics class. So this is a topic that has been requested a lot over the years and is also something that's just very in demand across all German learning channels as far as I know. So I figured I'd go back into this. That being the cases of German. Nominativ, Genitiv, Dativ, and Akkusativ. You've probably heard these terms before. If you already know some stuff about it as well, you can go... this corner? Well, the little I that's up here, for a quick overview of the cases. I did that years ago. It's a bit quicker, it's a bit more succinct. I gave a synopsis of each of the cases and their functions, basically, so it's especially helpful to you if you already kind of know your way around the grammar involved in it. If you want a more in-depth explanation of the cases each, or are starting completely from scratch, then you're in the right place, because today I'm making a video solely on one of the cases, that being the first, the nominative. Now, as a refresher on terms, a case or a declension is what you use to modify mostly nouns, but also some words that go with nouns, like adjectives, but mostly nouns in languages that use cases such as German or Russian or, well, even English in some ways. We'll get to that. If you don't know what a noun is, check out this video, Now on the I, where I went through all the word groups that exist in German. German nouns have 4 cases: Nominativ, Akkusativ, Dativ, and Genitiv. That is the order that you will find them in, most likely in all modern teaching materials, because that is the order of how often they occur, or how important they are, or at least how important they are perceived to be. So the genitive is used the least, so it goes last. You might also say the order nominative, genitive, dative, accusative. That's the classic way of ordering the cases, more in line with how Latin works, because that's where we got a lot of our linguistic theory, grammar, whatever. It's not important. It doesn't matter what the order is in which you learn them, because, nouns in speech are not going to work that way. I'm using nominative, accusative, dative, and genitive, that order, because that's the modern way of doing it, and I generally use these 4 colors to color code the cases if that's necessary. Now, since I know that the concept of gender and case are very foreign to people who are native speakers of only a language that's not very flexionally rich, like for example English, let's get into that for a second. Case and gender are 2 completely separate concepts. They are not dependent on each other, if that makes sense. So a noun doesn't need to be in a certain case in order to be in a certain gender, all right? They're separate from each other. By the way, if at this point you don't know that German has 3 genders for nouns, you should watch this video, because I'm just going to assume that that's common knowledge for this video. The gender of a noun does, of course, have an impact on the specific endings of the noun, but regardless of the gender, all nouns can be declined through all 4 cases. Der Hund is male, die Katze is female, and das Pferd is neutral. But all of them can have cases applied to them according to the same rules. So the gender doesn't change anything about how cases are used, it just changes the endings that you use for them. And lastly, cases also apply, like I said, to adjectives and any other modifying words for nouns, and pronouns. Pronouns are words like, for example, personal pronouns, I, you, he, she, it, etc. There's other pronouns like possessive pronouns, my, your, etc. And all of those can be declined as well, because they work like nouns in many ways. So this is actually something that English still uses. So I don't say I see he, I see him. So that's actually a remnant of when English used to be more grammatically diverse. That's the word I'm looking for. Now the example, I see him, in German would be ich sehe ihn. Nominative would be er. Ihn is accusative. So, same as in English, I see him, not he, I see him. Ich sehe ihn. So that's a good way to remember the concept of cases for English speakers, I think. Whew, okay, all of this is basic info about cases that I decided to put in this video, because the nominative is the most easy or simple case of all of the ones that exist, so I wanted to put some more like the front heavy stuff, in front of this one. So let's get to the nominative. Also, welcome back to people who skipped through the introduction part. Now, why did I say the nominative is the easiest case in German? It's the easiest because it's the base form of a noun. So anytime you see a noun that is not part of a sentence written down somewhere, like a vocabulary item, when you're learning a noun from a list, it's going to be in the nominative. So der Hund, die Katze, das Pferd, all of those are nominative. You ask for the nominative, asking wer, so who, wer, or was, what, who or what, wer oder was. Wer bist du? Ich bin Katja. Was bist du? Ich bin Lehrerin. The reason the nominative is the base case is because we use it for the subject of a sentence. Or maybe it's the other way around. I'm never entirely sure, but it's the base case, and it's also the case that you use for the subject of a sentence. Now, what's a subject? A subject is the part of a sentence that does something. Now, linguistically speaking, this is not 100% accurate. It's not fully linguistically sound. There are exceptions or ways to describe this more specifically, but generally it'll do. The nominative is the case for the subject. So, for example, if we take the English sentence, the dog sees the cat, then the dog is the subject of the sentence and would therefore, in German, have to be in the nominative. Der Hund sieht die Katze. Just as a little side note, we're not going to worry about the other cases too much for now, but for people who may already have some inkling or idea or are jumping ahead a little bit, yes, die Katze in this case looks like it's the nominative. It's not, it's the accusative, because the nominative and the accusative of the female singular are the same. It doesn't matter for now, but technically, or not technically, die Katze in this sentence is accusative. Now, because this is how it works, namely the case helps you identify what part of the sentence a noun is, German sentence structure is a lot more flexible than sentence structure in English. I made a whole series of videos on German syntax, which I've also linked here, so I'm not going to get into that too much now, but basically, German can do something with this simple sentence that English can't do. It can turn around the position of the subject and the object. So instead of saying, der Hund sieht die Katze, the dog sees the cat, I can also say, die Katze sieht der Hund. Now that's a weird way to order that sentence. It really depends on the context why you would want to put the emphasis on die Katze so much. But because der Hund is still in the nominative, so die Katze sieht der Hund, I know that it's not suddenly the cat sees the dog, but still the dog sees the cat. And that's the magic of cases. So, for starters, what you need to remember about the nominative is that it is the case that you will find all base forms in for nouns, pronouns, adjectives, and anything strange else that relates to nouns. So, anything that can be declined when you read it in a vocabulary list will be in the nominative. Secondly, probably more importantly, it's the case that is used for the thing, person, animal, whatever, the part of a sentence that does or is something. Disclaimer! We are still speaking about language, so of course there's going to be exceptions and specifics that I'm not going to account for here. Feel free to share them in the comments if you have a funny example from your own experiences or because you speak German and you've pondered it or whatever. But generally speaking and for everyday usage, this is the explanation that, will get you there. Here's a few more examples for how to use the nominative. Der Vater schläft. Das Haus ist groß. Das Pferd frisst das Gras. Ich lerne Deutsch. And that's it for today. Thank you to all of my lovely patrons who are scrolling by right now. If you don't know what Patreon is yet, how dare you? You can go check it out in the link in the description, also on the screen right now. Basically, what you can do over there is support DFE financially and get a few rewards for it. One of which, of course, is being shown here as a little sign of my appreciation, but you can also get grammar scripts, more examples for episodes like this one, as well as some charts and little extras that I use for episodes, and an extra goodie if you feel especially spendabel, so generous, I guess. So go check that out. Thank you very much in advance if you're going to consider it, and thank you even more so to everybody who's already decided. Yay! Your random word of the week is die Milchkanne. See? It totally is. Die Milchkanne. Although also, of course, this is a Fuchs. Der Fuchs. Die Milchkanne und der Fuchs. I don't even know what sound foxes make. Bis dann. Tschüss.